Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. In my fast cooking system, the word fast is the acronym of the 4 attributes of the cooking system, which stand for flavor chasing, advanced prepping, stir frying, and template-based cooking. And of these 4 attributes, stir fry is the engine that drives the cooking system. The reason that I choose stir fry as the cooking system is because it is very fast. It's the cooking technique that is unparalleled in its speed as well as its flexibility. For example, I can cook this chicken dish with several different types of vegetables, mainly frozen vegetables, in about 5 to 6 minutes. And there's no other cooking system that can work as fast as the stir frying. And because of the reason, people always come to the impression that in order to stir fry, you need to have a lot of heat, as in this case in a commercial kitchen. And you can see that that is tremendous amount of heat. In fact, in most cases, some of the burners in commercial kitchen can put out up to 240,000 PDU. And in comparison to a home burner, which usually will put out maximum about 15,000 to 20,000 BTU. So it is almost about 15 years ago when we switched to a electric burner. And of all electric burner we switched to a glass top electric burner. I think I almost had a heart attack when my wife purchased this range, because I realized that at the time that you cannot stir fry in a electric burner anyway, and it is even worse if you stir fry in a glass top electric burner, because they just simply do not put out enough heat. But is that really true? And in fact, this is a question somebody asked me recently because she moved into an apartment that all they have is a glass top electric burner. In fact, the glass top electric range is probably the most sophisticated home kitchen range. When you look normally a glass electric range, you will find that there are at least 4 or even 5 burners on the surface. And one of the largest one is a very powerful burner. It put out somewhere between 15,000, in some cases up to 20,000 BTU, which is higher than most gas range in a home kitchen setup. In this case, when you turn on the high power glass top electric burner, it comes on almost instantly, and it referred to as a rapid burner. Now, the problem with a glass top electric range is that the heat distribution is very different. Instead of the heat that come up and wrap around your wok or any other cooking utensil, what it does is that the heat penetrate rise through the glass in what is known as a radiant heating. So in this case, the cookware need to have a flat surface in contact with the electric range in order to get the maximum benefit. So in this case, when you cook on a flat top electric range, it is important to have a wok that has a flat bottom surface. So this will actually have maximum interaction with the heat that rise from the heating element. However, it is also important to really know that, in fact, the heat eventually will also penetrate and heat up the side of the wok as well, but it just takes a little bit longer. So because of this, when you cook on a glass top electric range, it usually takes a little bit longer to heat up the wok, as in the case when you cook with a gas stove. Now, most people do not like to cook on a electric range or a glass top electric range because they feel that their wok is not being heated up as rapidly as they would like. And if you used to cook on a gas top stove, you will find that cook on a glass top electric stove could be frustrating because of the timing of how long it takes for the wok to heat it up. And like most people, this was my initial reaction. I was frustrated by how long it takes to heat up my wok as compared to when I used to cook on a gas stove top. And this turned out to be not true. And I discovered that if I heat up the wok properly with the oil reach the temperature that I want, I can cook eggs as quickly as I would have cooked it on a gas stove. As you can see here, as soon as I pour the egg into the wok, it starts to bubble almost immediately, which means that the temperature is very high. And this temperature actually continues to be maintained because the egg cooked very rapidly. As I add the mushroom and followed by adding the tomatoes into the wok, I know the temperature is very high. When I move the egg out of the way, the egg that fills the empty space cooks almost immediately. This provides me an indication is that in fact there are no deficiency in heat capacity in a glass top electric stove in comparison to a gas stove. The end result is that I was able to cook this scrambled egg dish in about 5 minutes, about the same amount of time that I would have cooked them on a gas stove. Since I learned the behavior of a glass top electric stove, I have been cooking on it for almost 10 years, and I do not see any difference in terms of the heat capacity. The major difference is that you need to make adjustment in terms of the amount of time that it takes for the stove to heat up, but at the same time, the amount of time for the stove to cool down. So when you finish cooking a dish, unlike a gas stove, you can turn off the gas and the heat almost dissipated immediately. Whereas in a glass top electric stove, you can turn off the stove, but the heat will persist. And in this case, you need to remove the wok from the surface of the stove to prevent food from being overcooked. In order to cook efficiently on a glass top electric stove, you have to use wok with a flat bottom surface area, and you will find this type of wok in many different types of materials, all the way from cast iron to light cast iron, stainless steel, and carbon steel. Now, unfortunately, carbon steel has a problem depending on the type of carbon steel that are used to make the wok. When you use wok that make of a thin gauge carbon steel, the problem is that carbon steel have a tendency to warp when it is being heated up. So when that happens, the bottom surface of the carbon steel will not be completely flat, and this will cause the wok to, first of all, that it will become unstable, and secondly, that it can be so unstable that it might actually spin like this one shown here. A good example of this is that a carbon steel wok which is made by a company known as Emulser is a wok that are commonly sold in Walmart. This is in fact an excellent wok, and it is very inexpensive. It costs less than $20. It is well built and it is excellent in heat transduction. However, when you use this wok on a glass top electric range, you will find that it might wobble and even might spin because of the shape change to the bottom surface of the wok. So in this case, you might want to consider some other type of wok surface as in comparison to a carbon steel wok. However, if you buy a thick gauge carbon steel wok, it probably will able to prevent that shape change and result in warping. And personally, I find that the best wok to cook on a flat top electric range is a stainless steel wok. Stainless steel wok will not undergo shape change when it's being heated, so it will remain stable. Otherwise, for general home cooking with stir frying in a wok, the glass top electric range has no problem in performing adequately. You can use any wok with a flat bottom surface, except in the case of stainless steel wok. You should take caution that sometimes the stainless steel wok will undergo shape change and cause it to warp, and therefore affect the stability of the wok on the flat surface. I hope this video answered the question about the suitability of stir frying on a glass top electric range. I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine using my fast cooking system. If you'd like to learn more about this cooking system, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I love to hear any questions that you might have, and I enjoyed writing back to you. Please send me an email to this email address, which is wokwithtak@gmail.com. This will allow me to answer you more fully And at the same time, sometimes I do not see comments that are posted on my video. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.